guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Nicole.
I'm Tiffany.
And in today's video, we're going to be sharing with you on how you can price your services as a media agency.
So for all businesses out there, your main objective would be to earn revenue. And in order to do that, you will need to price yourself competitively in order for clients to want to engage you. And in order to be sustainable, you will need to earn a profit. The question you might be asking yourself is, how do I price my services? Because that's something that we face as well. And because when you're starting out, you don't really know the market rates and stuff like that. So you might be confused and
you don't know if you're like undercharging yourself or overcharging yourself. And what we had to do is go through many rounds of discussions and calculations and a lot of research. And we found that it was very time consuming and it's not the most effective way going forward. So that's why we actually decided to make this video for you guys to share a few ways on how you can actually price your services. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
So let's move on to some things you have to remember or consider before we go into like the technicalities of like how to price your services and stuff like that. So the first thing you have to remember is to ensure that you price your services in a way that you're covering both your overhead costs and the cost of your service. So some of your overhead costs could be like the cost of your software or maybe like your employee salaries. This is to ensure that you don't just break even. You kind of need to make a profit because that's the main objective of your business.
Yeah, correct. And then the second thing that you should take note is to always understand your project brief before providing a quotation. So what I mean by that is that you actually got to understand what are the deliverables that the client is asking for, by when, and all of these important details. Because just to give you an analogy, when you're visiting a doctor, it's not like every patient has the same diagnosis, right?
That's true.
So in the same way, we can't really expect every single client to have the same thing such that we can offer them the same quotation. So honestly, for us, we don't really want to offer a fixed package because we want to have a personalized touch for every client. And a client may be facing this issue, but this client may be facing another problem that we want to solve. So that's actually our job, to advise them accordingly. If we were to quote them X amount of dollars and they feel like, okay, we can't afford it, then maybe we could provide a second solution to them, like with this amount of money, we can provide you with this instead.
So let's move on to the third point, I would say. So our third point would be to know your minimum pricing. So know where you are able to lower your pricing until, because you don't want to undervalue yourself. Remember, the currency is always how much value there is. So when it comes to this, right, you need to know that you can first propose like a quotation, but don't be strict on it. Like you have to kind of understand where your client is coming from and try to adapt to what budget they have. So in the like what we mentioned previously, like for example, if they have a lower budget, instead of lowering our value, maybe lower the number of deliverables instead. So that's how you can work around it.
So it's okay to actually like lower the cost and to be open to negotiation, but at the end of the day, you can't possibly like let them cut until you have nothing to earn, right? So that's what we mean by having a minimum pricing and sticking to that. But also when we feel that when you're starting out, it's okay to start small in order to gain confidence in the service that you're providing. And then once you are sure that you can provide them with amazing results, then you will have the value and you will be in a better place to actually ask for a higher quotation.
Slowly gain that confidence, I would say.
So moving on to our fourth point is to actually look at the market rate. So you gotta research on your competitors or industry benchmark to understand what roughly the market rate is, because we don't really want to underprice ourselves because that would affect the industry. That is the 4 things that you should definitely consider before coming out with your pricing strategy. And now let's dive right into the different pricing strategies so that you will know how to price your services to your clients.
So there are actually 4 ways you can price your services. The first is an hourly based rate. So for the hourly one, it's a per hour rate. For the media industry, I would say that we both don't recommend it because it's quite hard to quantify media work in that sense. Other than I would say for videography,
event videography or event photography, whereby sometimes people will charge $50 an hour or even $100 an hour. But we definitely don't recommend pricing yourself by a per hour rate, because essentially you are actually exchanging time for money, and we have limited number of hours within the day, right? So it's not the smartest way to price yourself. And the fact is that clients will want you to work faster, but by working faster, you're earning lesser. So definitely that is not advantageous to you and your business at all.
And it also might compromise on the quality of your work if you're made to work in that time constraint.
Correct. So we feel that trading time for money is definitely not a very scalable model, and we definitely don't recommend you pricing based on per hour strategy unless you're doing event videography or photography. The second way of pricing yourself is actually providing a project-based pricing strategy, which is that you receive a flat fee for the project in exchange for the deliverables that you're providing. And definitely this strategy is more scalable because as you gain more experience, as you gain more recommendations and positive testimonials, then you are sure that you can do well and you are capable of actually increasing your price. So that's what I mean by you can scale up your price, and it's a very scalable model.
And I think this is more meant for like social media management and for example, web design, web development, where it's very hard to like, I guess, quantify the time spent because it's over like maybe a month for social media management, for example, or for web design development, it will take like maybe 1 or 2 months, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think definitely sometimes you may struggle with thinking like, okay, how much am I supposed to charge for this project? So one way we actually do it is that once we come up with a project-based fee, then we kind of think about how many hours will we spend on it. Are we going to spend 12 hours a week on this project? And in a month, how many hours would that be? And divided by the price that we are charging, then how much would we be approximately valuing our per hour time to be? So that's one good way to actually come up with your project-based fee. So then that is the second pricing strategy. And then now we'll move on to the third pricing strategy, which is a retainer fee pricing strategy. So what that means is that you actually agree to a prepaid sum per month for a certain number of deliverables. And that is, to me, most applicable in terms of social media management, whereby you can actually ask for a deposit before you start the service. And that is definitely a very good way to safeguard yourself, because you should always, you should receive payment before embarking on the project, because what if the client ends up like pulling out, and then that's your time and effort and resources wasted.
Especially for social media management, right? You will have to plan your content in advance. So you would probably start before the month even begins.
The good thing about this is that it doesn't matter how much time you actually take to deliver the service, unlike the per hour based pricing strategy, right? And the good thing about having a retainer fee pricing strategy is that you will have a stable income every single month. So in a sense, it's good for your business because you know that for sure I have this amount, I have X amount of money to sustain me for the next 6 months. So that is definitely one of the pros of this pricing strategy, and we do highly recommend it for social media management.
Okay, so the fourth pricing strategy would be the performance-based pricing strategy. So for this, is actually paid based on, like, for example, the percentage of the sale conversion. So something like a commission-based kind of thing.
Yeah, so you are really being paid based on the performance and the results that you deliver, which means that if no result, no money. Something like that.
But this more mainly for, like, for example, paid ads and stuff like that, because that's when you kind of need to put in money first and then it will.
Regarding paid ads, right, you are relying heavily on metrics. So you have to show your client that, okay, I have managed to get this amount of conversions for you, and this is the ROI that you're getting. So then that is more justifiable to say that you can be paid this amount of money. So those are the 4 pricing strategies that we have prepared for you today. But ultimately, it's up to you in terms of how you want to value yourself, and it depends on which pricing strategy you feel is the most applicable to your business. But always remember that money is just an exchange of value when coming up with your pricing strategy.
Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We hope you learned some good things about how you can price your services.
Yeah, and if you want to find out about anything media related, do follow us on our social media pages, which are all linked in the description box below. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye!